Hello everyone, welcome back to the Nulyweds channel. Today we are going across the sea, outside of Europe and into the Caribbean. We are talking to Danissa Walker from Walker's Events about getting married in St. Martin. I am so excited to bring you this episode. I am a Caribbean myself, so it was really cool to talk to her about weddings in the Caribbean, and I hope that you find this episode as valuable as I do. All of her details will be pinned to the top comment and in the description box down below if you want to get married in the Caribbean. But without further ado, let's get into this conversation. So, we are joined today by the lovely Danissa Walker from across the sea in the Caribbean. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So, you are joining us from St. Martin, and your business is called Walker's Events. And we're going to talk about St. Martin today. I'm so excited. I've never been before, even though I am from the Caribbean as well. So, please let us know a bit more about yourself and your business, what you do and why you love to do it.
Well, as you mentioned, I'm Danissa Walker. I am the creative director of Walker's Events. We specialize in planning and styling events, mainly for destination clients, but we also do local events as well, especially during the pandemic right now. We've been in business for over 6 years. We love what we do. We love to be creative. We love to do something that's different than what you usually see on the island. So when we have this line, it has to be absolutely special, you choose Walkers.
That's beautiful. That's really, really lovely. So tell me, let's lean into that a little bit. Tell me what's typical on the island then and how your style is different.
Okay, what's typical on the island? Like everyone has their own style, but for us, we want more of a luxurious Caribbean feel. And what's more typical on the island, you would have those are chair covers, the sashes, those traditional, outdated style then that people seemingly like still. Whereas we go for the more clean lines that you can look back and say, oh, I can still have this in this era.
Mm-hmm. Classic, timeless design.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. All about that. So tell me more about your wonderful island, because I learned so much the first time that we spoke. I didn't know that there were two sides of the island, and there's so much to learn, even though it's such a small, tiny little dot in the Caribbean. So tell me more about St. Martin and tell us why we should consider getting married there.
Well, firstly, St. Martin, just a little history. St. Martin is the smallest island in the world to be governed by two countries, Dutch and French. I've been privileged to be raised in St. Martin. I was born in Curacao, which is also part of the Dutch kingdom. But where I reside is on the Dutch side of St. Martin. And there are two different fields of the island. And this is why, you should be excited to come here to vacation or even to get married here, just because you have so much to choose from. On the Dutch side, where I reside, is more family oriented, more party like. Then sometimes people call it the United States of the Caribbean. Then on the Dutch side, whereas the French side is more of the European feel, relaxed, more of the upscale. The more when you walk the streets of Marigot, which is the capital of the French side, you feel like you're actually in France. And you would believe that although on the Dutch side, where we speak English like our first language, on the French side, they really stick to the French language. So imagine living on an island and you're going, and there's no borders, whereas you have to pay anything free, open borders, and you go to the French side and you really need to at least have some basic knowledge in French.
Wow, that's fascinating. That's amazing. So with those two different landscapes, how do you know that you crossed over? How do you know?
You know, actually. Like the French, and it depends on where you go. The French side, you will find more of the luxurious villas. The Dutch side, I'm saying St. Martin. The Dutch side, you will find more of shopping, restaurants, the busy life then. So
Okay.
you will know when you're on the Dutch side and you will know when you're on the French side. On the French side, you'll find more of French people, and it's like you can look at them and say, okay, these are French people. Whereas on the Dutch side, you have more of a migration of the different Caribbean islands.
Wow. Okay, cool. This sounds so cool. So sticking to a bit more about the country then, are we imagining like a typical Caribbean island in there is a lot of beach, or is there a lot of greenery? What is the landscape like?
So, like again, it depends on where you go. On the French side, you find more of the greenery. There are more empty spaces on the French side, whereas the Dutch is a little more crowded, but you have more beaches on the Dutch side. St. Martin is 37 square miles, and you have 37 beaches to choose from.
Oh my God.
And
Okay.
interesting fact about St. Martin, all the beaches are public. So although resorts, you may have resorts on the beach and they may give you a hard time going into the beach. All you have to mention, we know the beaches are public and you're free to go.
Amazing. And yeah, no, that's a really important point because it's not the case in a lot of Caribbean islands.
Correct.
Yeah, so yeah, that's an excellent point. So let's talk about weddings specifically then. Let's take the two sides separately because I think that would be interesting. What would a wedding be like on the French side?
When people more geared through the French side to have weddings, to host weddings, it will be more villas. That private elite type of, whereas on the Dutch side, it will be more, like I said, family oriented, or they host it with a resort. That's all inclusive.
Ah, okay. So there's quite a difference there. There's quite a difference in feel and in atmosphere. That's fascinating. Tell me about weddings in the Caribbean, because I think when we picture weddings in the Caribbean, it's a very specific look, right?
Yeah.
It's usually a resort. It's usually a resort. It's, is quite laid back. It also usually has those white arches on the beach or something. It's very typical. Yes, that is a Caribbean wedding. Like that's exactly what we picture. But there's just so much more variety that you can achieve, right? So tell me like the benefits of having your Caribbean wedding in St. Martin, and how that could be different, how you could kind of escape that very typical sash colors. And
right, the sash and the runners are the same thing. You like again, it depends on your style, and you can easily move away from it very easily. Like I've done weddings where you have like benches on the beach, like those wooden benches. You don't have the typical arch that you just mentioned. You just have the scenery of the sea behind of you, the sunset going down. I've done a wedding in a hotel, a resort, like you said, and it was not the white linens. It was more of like grand centerpieces. And a tourist passed by, and he said, "Oh, this is different," because, like you said, people have that perception of Caribbean weddings or the sashes, the white linen chairs, and it can be totally different than that. It can be that upscale wedding that you will find in Europe.
That's amazing. And that's important to say because I think there is a preconception, or at least I had that preconception, that it's to do with the availability, like perhaps that just isn't available in the Caribbean. Caribbean's small.
What we have here. Correct. Yeah.
Caribbean small. I know it's harder to get certain things, right? So I always had this preconception that you just couldn't do it there, but of course you can. Let's move away from the super happy, shiny, nice things about getting married in St. Martin. What would you warn a couple about getting married in St. Martin? What are the challenges here?
Definitely hurricane season. Our hurricane season runs from June 1st to the last day in November. But our peak season is really September. So I usually do not book any weddings in the month of September just because the weather is unpredictable and you really don't want to risk it traveling from so far and then making that investment. And it's like, okay, what's plan B? And usually there's no plan B. If there's a hurricane, you just have to move the date.
Yeah.
Another thing is I've bumped into persons whereas they want, I guess for the Caribbean wedding as well, people usually get married in the Caribbean. For some reason, it's more affordable for them. So they look for the cheapest way out, that we will call it here on the island. And then you get stuck with some vendors that will cheat you and then give you a 6 for a 9. And that's where you get that conception that, oh, this is how Caribbean weddings look, because that's what they offer you.
I think that because particularly with the Caribbean, because there's this idea of packages, right? Like everything is done in like a neat bow package. Mm-hmm. You got to be careful about what those packages include and what, you know. Correct. I think it's really difficult to be able to judge that sometimes. All right, so let's stick on, like you mentioned it a little bit that you've got hurricane season, and that's so funny. Like there is no plan B for a hurricane. What do you do? It's not rain, it's a hurricane.
Exactly. Inside, keep safe.
So when are the best and safest months to get married in St. Martin?
Honestly, so although a hurricane season ends in November, November's a real nice time. It's chilly. Not only chilly, there's a part in the day where the sun comes out. So although you're chilly, you're still feeling that heat on you. So those are my favorite months. November, December, January, February, March, into April. April's our carnival season. So we have a lot of tourists at that time, a lot of entertainers. A real nice season. And then I would go up to May, and then June is when it's really starts to get warm. And for a destination wedding in the Caribbean, and you're a bride and you have on this full face of makeup, I wouldn't. June is not the right month then, especially if you're gonna do an outdoor wedding or a beach wedding. So it depends. If you want an indoor wedding, June is like fine. But then you also think about a photographer. If you're going to be taking the pictures outside, do you want the sun to be in your eyes? Do you want to be squinting? So this is what I have to really lay down on a table first before you give me a date.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. You're preaching to the choir here. I'm one of those people that has my makeup on the floor after 4 hours. So, you know, I need the optimum conditions outside to work with me and not against me with someone with very oily skin. So let's put out a little a scenario then. So I'm going to ask you the question that no one likes, unfortunately. But let's say that I'm getting married to a Scotsman today. We're getting married to a Scottish guy today, and we have 50 guests, and we are getting married on the French side. So we're getting married on the French side in your style, 50 guests. He's Scottish, I'm English. How much do you think we should budget for that wedding?
Let's say for 50 people, let's say 70K. We're thinking about transporting stuff to the beach. We're thinking about entertainment. And I'm hoping that you're coming to the Caribbean, you're having a destination wedding to go all out. Unless, especially with 50 people. So that's my what is it? A light bulb goes off then. When you say 50 people, relative to 10 people, that means you're having a simple wedding. So a nice romantic wedding on the beach, an intimate wedding then. And that's not going to cost you much.
Okay, so 70K for my 50 people for something
in a villa, something on the beach and something relatively upscale, I guess. On let's stick with my fantasy wedding then. Let's say that I want to physically register to marry in St. Martin. Like I want to sign the papers there. How easy is that process? Like, do you recommend that we do that or do it at home?
Yeah, I actually do. It's very easy. It's why I would say to do it, because you always have that part of history with you. The only thing you would have to do is so you will get your documents in either French or Dutch, and you would have to translate it, which would be maybe $90 to translate. To get married in St. Martin is very easy. You need a birth certificate. We call it a detailed form in St. Martin, but basically it's I want to say a form or a paper issued by the government stating your marital status, your address, and that detailed information about you, your person then. And then you would need two witnesses, minimum two witnesses, maximum four witnesses if it's in the government building that you're getting married in the government building itself. If it's outdoors that the government has to come to your venue, it would have to be minimum 4 persons, maximum 6 persons to be as witnesses. And then you pay a fee of $500, depending if it's outdoors. If it's indoors, as in at the government building itself, you pay a cheaper rate.
Interesting. Okay. Well, you are one of the exceptions to this rule. Lots of people, lots of destination wedding planners just like, no, do it at home.
Oh, wow. No, it's very easy here.
It's very easy. Okay, fabulous. No, that's great to know. And that's good for our viewers to know that if you want to actually sign your document in the country, then St. Martin is a great option for them. Wonderful. So I want to talk about food.
Yeah.
Really want to talk about food. I know a lot about Caribbean food, but maybe some people don't. So let's educate them.
and that's where most of the money goes in a wedding. When it comes to Caribbean food, that's where it goes. So like, for instance, your scenario of 50 people, and with food, let's say you're doing appetizers, let's say a main course and then desserts, and then you have a variety of them. Then you have drinks. It's like food can really go out of hand in the Caribbean, especially in St. Martin. I'm honest, when I did a wedding 2019 in a resort, and resort is more like price points, let's say $100 per person. Mm-hmm. And this client had 70 people. So I told her, budget give a price point at $70 to $100. It came to $120. So she emailed me and was like, okay, how can I bring this down? I said, well, you take out the drink options. Drinks will carry it right up. Also, I had to, and I guess this is the question you're asking, whereas I had to warn her then, our food is not really typically your type of food, because we have oxtail, we have pigtail, we have what, chicken fingers, we have pork shoulder, like. Yeah.
It's an education. Yes.
Yeah. So I always say, keep one meal safe. Let's keep a safe meal. And if anyone wants to be adventurous, you allow them to choose the exotic meal. But this is where you put your menu on your wedding site, and you have them pre-select what they want. If it's a sit down or a dine in wedding. For those who have buffet, and like I said, I always have that safe option. Yeah. I'm from St. Martin. I'm from the Caribbean. I don't eat most of them.
I mean, let's not scare people. Like, oxtail is not bad. I don't mind oxtail. To be clear, like, an oxtail doesn't look like a massive tail that's like on your plate. Like, that's not what that is. And okay, chicken feet. It's a look, it's an acquired taste. But I guess, you know, if you're in the country and you want to try it, then try it. It's not the worst thing in the world. And you also have your staples, you know, we're big on yam and okra and
Yeah, correct.
plantain and things like that.
Correct.
So
No, plantain is my thing though. So you call those more things like ground foods. We call yam, sweet potato, cassava.
mm,
Those are really ground food, which is okay because they usually mix it in like in a pie. So you have like a cassava pie that you would
mhm.
think is a potato pie, but it's a different ground food.
And it's not as scary as you think, but it is worth mentioning and knowing that it is different to
Mhm.
what you
Yeah,
probably have at home. And maybe something that you'll want to do is, you know, educate your guests about it a little
correct.
bit
Yeah.
beforehand as well. So let's move on to our final segment. We love talking about venues. So tell me about some places that you really like and would love our audience to check out.
Again, like if you realize with me, it all depends on what you're looking for. For beaches, I love Happy Beach, a very private beach. And I guess you can post a picture after. A very private beach, very clean and picturesque beach. And then there's also Emilio Wilson Park, which is a historical park, but just filled with greenery, with our filled with our national tree, which is the flamboyant tree, like very beautiful. And then there is, let's say, a resort. I would always go to two resorts. There's a secret resort, which is on the front side, very nice, very exclusive. And then there's Simpson Bay Resort. I did a wedding there once. Very nice, big windows, and this is inside the resort, the ballroom. Very nice. Whereas you can do many different things with it. And like this client, so in June, although she wanted the Caribbean wedding, the look of the Caribbean wedding then, or the beaches, she wanted to feel cool. She wanted to feel chill. So she had her wedding there with these big windows, and you're overseeing the Kimsha Beach. Real nice.
Amazing. That sounds really beautiful. And that's a great point, actually. You may, even though we have like an idea of what a resort wedding is like, if you are used to, like, we're not in Europe, but I know in the US and Canada and stuff, you are used to being cold in the summer. You are
Yeah,
used to these air cons that
exactly.
we are
Yeah.
not used to. We don't do that. And in Europe as well, we're not that big on aircon either. But if that is something that is important to you, that you stay cool, then you might be better
Correct.
off
Yeah.
in these bigger resorts because they
Mhm.
are like fridges, you know, you walk in and you
Mhm.
feel, you know,
Mhm.
so you might feel more comfortable with that. And to get over that stigma of what you think in a resort wedding could be, you can transform that resort if you really want to.
Correct.
And if you're going to
Exactly.
be more comfortable and if your guests are going to be more comfortable, then that might be the better thing. Tell me about a villa that you like then.
I love, well, this company that holds these villas, Sun and Sea luxury villas. Real nice. Their service is like up to par. Then they're always like ask going the extra mile, and so they have a line of villas that you can choose from. So what I do recommend persons, even local persons, is that they go on Airbnb. You know, there's a part on Airbnb. I don't know what you call it, Lux Airbnb,
Yeah, plus or something.
something
Yeah,
like that. So
yeah.
you go there, and then you see those high end villas. Whereas, and when I say high end, you have like two. And when I say high end, it's high end for locals because you have to pay $2,000 per night. Whereas
Mhm.
for an event, you would have to pay a flat rate, maybe let's say 5, 7 thousand just for the night. I had a client who wanted a wedding, and it was on top of the hill, beautiful villa. It was 10,000 for the event, and then you had to pay, those extra fees. But it was absolutely beautiful. I think it was just 4 rooms. It was on top of the hill, so you get to oversee the front side and the dot side at the same time.
That's amazing.
Really, yeah.
Incredible. And so, okay, so with these villas then, is it more like dry hire? Like they give you the villa and then you bring in everything. You bring in your furniture and your catering and all that kind of thing. Okay, cool. So that's worth noting that that is a different kind of option. I have got a video on this on my channel about dry hires, and you really do need a planner for dry hire. So I want to thank you so much for coming on to my channel. It's been a great conversation. It's really lovely talking to you. Where can our audience find you if they want to get married in St. Martin?
You can find me on Instagram, Walker's Events, or you can find me on my website, walkersevents.com.
Wonderful. Well, I'm going to love you and leave you. We will leave the links to your Instagram and your website on screen, pinned to the top comment and in the description box down below. But I will love you and leave you. Thank you so much for coming on to my channel. Thank you for educating my audience, and anyone who wants to get in contact with Danissa, the details are down below. All right.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.